Recently got a request from my flying buddies to put together a video on pre-flighting a Discus launch glider. So I thought I'd put this together and show you what I do, especially at the beginning of the season, and then I make sure that I go over a lot of these before the flying day starts, so you can see what it takes to keep one of these things in the air and put a smile on your face every time you go out and fly it. So hang tight, check it out. Well, the most important part of your sailplane flying is your battery. So without battery power, we don't fly. So what I do is I take my battery and I put it on a separate voltmeter and check its voltage. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare that against the telemetry screen in the radio. And on the Taranis, it's quite simple to set up a screen that shows your receiver battery voltage on board. And I'm going to make sure the two numbers match or are very close. Once I do that, I'm going to go to logical switches, which I set up a logical switch 14, which is going to be a low voltage battery trip. So I'll scroll down to 14 and we're going to check its operation to make sure it actually does what it's supposed to. So my cutoff voltage is 3.70, and what I'll do is I'll ramp that up to the 4.17 volts, and hopefully if everything works right, we're going to get a
caution, receiver battery low.
That's what we're looking for. So we want to make sure that that portion of the transmitter works. And that's also verifying that your sound file is working. So once you verify that, reset it back to 3.70, which is my cutoff voltage that I use. We're going to check the servo tray and the pull strings, make sure there's no frays or broken horns. We want to look at the aileron push rods and the servo horns to make sure there's no cracks and that all the screws are in place. We want to look at the receiver and all the connectors to make sure that they're all firmly seated, so there's no way they're going to pull out. We want to take a look at the antenna and make sure that it's intact and secured. We want to look at the rudder hinge line, take a scan of that, make sure there's no broken hinges, D-lams. We want to look at the rudder horn and the pull string and make sure that they're all intact in one piece. We want to scan the elevator, make sure that there's no delamination or broken hinges. We want to look at the control horn and the pull string and make sure it's all intact and in good order. We want to make sure the attachment screws are in place and that it's not cracked or broken in that area. I like to scan the whole entire fuselage. Take a look and see if there's any nicks, cracks, delaminations. And I really like to pay attention to the wing saddle area. Make sure that there's no cracks or delaminations on the bottom of the plane. That's a real stress area right behind the wing saddle. Check the rudder and the elevator mounting and the pylons. Check the wing control horns, both the right and left hand sides, to make sure they're not cracked, broken, and the glues joints are secure. Scan the entire wing, looking for delamination, broken hinges, cracks, dents, anything that would compromise your sailplane structurally. And then finally and not least, we're going to check the throwing peg to make sure that it's secure and intact and ready for one of your monster throws you're going to make. Okay, the final checks we're going to do to our glider is to check all the control surfaces and make sure that they're moving and in the correct direction. So we'll start with the rudder, go through it, check it, the elevator, check the control, deflection, movement. Then we'll move off to the flaps and ailerons and check those, making sure that right is right and left is left. We're going to run it through the flight modes and the flaps to make sure everything is working properly. And then least but not last, we want to do a thorough range check and make sure that the radio is getting the kind of range you expect. Kind of an important process, and you don't really want to miss this. So take your time and do a good range check, and if you have any problems, figure it out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun making it. See you on the next one.